Hello and welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker here to look at teas together, to give an introduction to teas, different kinds of teas. Each tea, each season brings out slightly different characteristics of a tea. So this is actually a 2011 tea. So maybe it's kind of newer on the market, something you may be looking at for this year. You maybe want to kind of keep an eye on it to see later on this year how it availability. If you can get it for a better price, you may be wanting to shop around a little bit. So I'm going to take this tea. One thing that you may want to note about using loose leaf teas is you want to have clean hands with not a lot of fragrance or lotions or smells on your hands. So what I'm able to do with my clean hands, with no scented aromas on my hands, I'm putting in enough of this leaf, and it's a bulky, pretty loose, long leaf, but I'm putting in enough so that I don't see the bottom, say 1 inch to 1.5 inches diameter of the bottom of my bowl there. Let me just close that up for a second. I'm going to add my water. It's been brought to a boil, and it's been cooling for just a few minutes, but it's still very close to boiling. I'm going to add enough water so a little bit should rest just above the rim of the lid. That's good, and let that steep. Let me get this water out of the way. Set this aside for just a minute and kind of introduce this tea now. This is from ChinaChaDao, an online site. It can be found through eBay. ChinaChaDao is in Guangdong, China. What else do I want to say? You want to be choosy when you look at online sites. There are some like ChinaChaDao that they're established. They've got a good reputation. Another one that I've never looked at actually here on Walker Tea Review is Yunnan Sourcing. They have a generally well accepted reputation as well. But okay, this is ChinaChaDao's, and this is their SongChongAAADancong. It's a AAA grade. This is like I said, a 2011 harvest from the Phoenix Mountain, the Fenghuangshan Mountain in Chaozhou area. You can find 125 grams, which is roughly 400.4 ounces. Available for $17.99 currently on the ChinaChaDao eBay store. Now I'm going to be talking about the aspects of this tea: the dry leaf, the wet leaf, and the liquor. First off, I want to get a smell of this dry leaf. There's a little, the kind of smells that I'm getting are the kind of smells that are coming out, that I'm really picking up in the spring air around me here. I'm cleaning out vegetable or flower beds and areas around, and so there's all these dried oak leaves from the winter, the fall of last year. They've been allowed to collect. The spring sun has hit those and brought out a sweetness to that. So there's this oak leaf, there's this leafy oak leaf kind of sweetness to this, and it's light. This is not that intense. Now when I exhale and breathe out when I breathe some warm air out onto this, began to pick up some of those characteristics that I'm going to likely find in the liquor itself, and that's there's a bit of a kind of an apricot, dried apricot type of smell, something a little bit tart, something a little bit tangy coming out already in the smell. Okay, so that's appealing so far. And take a pinch of these leaves and kind of look at them. With dancongs, you are getting a lot of longer leaves here. For example, let me hold that up so that you can see that is probably 3 inches or so in length. So you can have some very long leaves. Most of these leaves are more of a darker brownish gray type color, a bistre type color. Moving over towards a little bit, you will get a lighter tinge of brown here and there. but for the most part they do reflect that kind of darker color. You do get some more smaller, delicate pieces as well. For example, here's a piece that's barely an inch in length. It looks like it's a full leaf, but it looks like it's a smaller, more tender leaf. Okay, I'm going to return this now. I'm just noticing here a slight piece of a stem there is present as well. But let me go ahead and return these here. There we go. Close that up so that that can stay a little fresher there. Now let me go ahead and pour this, and we can talk about the liquor as well. I'm going to angle my lid over to the side. Get my cup ready, my pitcher ready. Nice smooth pour, that came out well. Okay, set that to the side for just a moment. Now I'm going to talk about the wet leaf here, give it a smell, talk about the leaves character. Now I'm already getting that smell that I smelled, like I said, when I exhaled some warm breath onto the dry leaf. There's that kind of tart apricot type of smell. Underneath that there is imagine you've got some freshly dried apricots on one hand, and you've got some kind of baked apricot type of pie, fried apricot pie as well. So there's some of that kind of, or an apricot jam even. There's a little bit of that kind of jammy sweetness there, that roasted, baked, fried apricot smell as well. But it's underneath that tart level. So far it's got a nice appealing aroma here. Let me pull out just a few of these leaves. Here's a nice example of one of those larger leaves. I'm going to see if I can tease this open, because what I'm looking at here is, one thing you notice is that our colors have lightened up. I mean, this is a brighter pale green, but still brighter than that darker brown that state that it existed in, and as it was a dry leaf. Now there's some pretty deep folds in this leaf where you had to gently pull it open to get those folds out and loosened up. I'm noticing here occasionally you do have some blotchy areas on the edge, just along the edge here, where some oxidation took place. This leaf is, as you can see, the way it kind of finishes off there at the bottom, it doesn't have a tip, so this is not a full leaf, but still that's a good 2-3 inches already. You do see a little oxidation along the middle, next to the middle vein there of the leaf. So let's go ahead and set that down. Let me pull out one more leaf, one that's hopefully a little more unfurled, like this one is going to unfurl fairly easily. These are fairly delicate leaves. They're not leathery. They've got a little bit of elasticity to them, although they still would probably tear pretty easily. Actually, it's not tearing near as easily as I thought it would. It's got some good elasticity to it, actually, so positive resilience there. Although it's not heavy, thick, yet it's still got some good elasticity to it. So that's a good point to notice there. So those two leaves kind of give us something to look at here, and move on now to our liquor. Let me go ahead and give this a swirl, just a minute. Still those same, I'm looking forward to this. This is mouth-watering in its aroma. Something just says tart, something says juicy about this. That smell, the same smell that's come through the dry leaf we talked about, the wet leaf aroma as well. The liquor color itself, it's close to a pale honey. There are some of your lighter kind of almost like a white beer, a pale ale type of color there that's coming out. Good clarity as well. Still the smell is still enjoyable. Looking down through the liquor in the cup here, Also, still a nice brightness. It doesn't look dull or flat. Looks down through fairly consistent as far as the clarities you look down through it as well. Trick with a lot of dancongs is I find that they can be more bitter than and harsher astringency than some other teas. This one has astringency, and I would say more so than if you were looking at, say, a gentle green tea. Some of your other, maybe compared to maybe a Taiwanese oolong or a Tia Guanyin even. But comparing this with other dancongs, it's got a nice balance. It's got the astringency to it, but that's a common factor with many dancongs. Not all, but with many. And the astringency is balanced, plays well with that kind of tart, tangy, fruity stone fruit element. So there is still some of that kind of apricot aspect coming out. So it's a tart apricot that you're biting into when the astringency kind of reinforces that sensation. The broth, though, does not come off as harsh or bitter. There is a smoothness to it, a gentle, soft coating that again kind of builds around that astringency, so it moderates it to a degree. What happens in the aftertaste is that underneath the tongue, you still get that kind of dry astringent aspect towards the back. Traveling up into my nose fairly well also is still that kind of having eaten a dried apricot. It's got some tartness to it. It's got some fragrance to it, that kind of apricot type of fragrance as well. And then as far as like a sweet aftertaste that's building up, not so much. This is more of having eaten fresh fruit, kind of a little bit of juicy, mouth-watering aspect, a little bit of tartness there, and a more of a sucrose, gentler. If there is a sweetness, it's a mild, more natural sucrose type, gentle sweetness there to it. As far as the extent of the aftertaste, on par with a lot of other dancongs, it's not the most intense in the whole range of teas. It's not the most intense and most lasting of aftertaste, but still, compared to other dancongs, it's doing quite well. So when I look at this tea, I would probably have to give this tea a decent score. I would give this tea a this is tough to say. I would probably give this tea an 89. It's got some nice qualities. Perhaps this is a spring tea that, because of the weather and the situation, it could have gone a little bit, or perhaps if you were to get this what am I saying? I'm saying that the season did not draw out the full, a great intensity of sensation in this tea, and that perhaps another season or another harvest could have brought this out to a fuller, richer, more intense degree. So come back to Walker Tea Review, where we enjoy teas of this season and hopefully teas of the future.